Welcome to E4 Electric's live stream. It is midnight here in beautiful Bangkok, Thailand. And I know I told you guys I was going to talk to you guys about, my last year of my life ever since moving here to Thailand. And I'm going to do it next week because we had quite a historic, you guys had quite a historic week in America. So two huge events that kind of haven't happened in a long time. I'm sure that you know what they are, but this is an electric car channel, so we're going to keep this conversation about electric cars. However, Donald Trump, in his RNC speech, once again, this is not the first time he talked about this, basically said this, and I'm going to play you the clip right now.
And I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day.
Okay, so he said he was going to end the electric car mandate on day one. Now, I've made a video about this, a few days ago, and I said, well, by the way, let me tell you what I said in that video again. Now, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm also not excited about either one of the candidates, including Harris now. So I'm completely an independent. I lean right in some ways, left in other ways, but generally speaking, I just don't think on one hand, does this country deserve better? I don't know, but are these the best people we can have running our country? I don't think either one of them. And I mean, I can share if you guys are, nobody really ever interested in what independence thinks ever. Even though we kind of end up deciding the election. But anyway, so what I said in the video after I said, listen, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, was, well, what mandate is he talking about? And a lot of people, mainly Trump supporters, jump in and said, well, okay, so as a matter of fact, I'm going to go over their comments right now live. We'll just together scroll, and you'll see that the majority refer to something that is just incredibly stupid to mention, and it looks like they don't understand how U.S. government works. But there are some comments that actually very much legit. Now, they may not be actually talking about the mandate per se, but I think there's a conversation to be had. Hey, should the government really dictate whether or not we should be buying electric cars or not electric cars? Should there be a mandate? And I think that becomes kind of a philosophical issue, right? But let's go over some of the comments. By the way, thanks so much for joining me, guys. I can see a lot of you are telling me where you're watching me from, which is always a treat because I absolutely love seeing that you guys are watching me essentially from around the world and definitely from America, because essentially my channel targets Americans mainly. And I will answer some of your comments. A lot of people tell me this, go to the Project 2025. And, listen, it's not my first day doing this. I'm very much aware of a lot of things on both sides. As a matter of fact, I would say I'm a little bit more informed than most people if you are specifically in one of the camps, right? Because a lot of times people who are following Trump or very rarely actually peek their head out and see what's going on the other side, and the other way around. I give a chance to everything and everyone. And I kind of yes, so the Project 2025, I am aware of that. But at the same time, don't forget, it is not officially Donald Trump platform. As a matter of fact, a lot of times his platform and any presidential candidate platform has very little to do with their future presidency. Because let's say if Donald Trump wins, we don't know if he's going to have, once again, both houses. It looks like he might not. Well, then things become much more difficult for Project 2025. And, last time when he came to power, there was a lot of inner fighting in the Republican Party. So a lot of stuff did not get done, like, for example, repealing the Obamacare, though a lot of other things on their agenda did get done. So I'm just saying, don't think that Project 2025 is essentially the new constitution, right? No matter how much people who wrote it might want it to be. So let's, like I said, I'll get back to your comments a little bit later, guys. But let's look at the comments that video got, because bottom line is there is no mandate on electric cars. You're not mandated to buy one. You're not mandated to sell one right now. However, let's okay. I haven't shared a screen in ever when I did this, so let's see. Uh, I'm hoping you guys can see this. I can see this. So this is my this is my short on YouTube, and these are the comments. As you can see, there's like 127 of them. All right. Now, I already scrolled up to the most common comment here, and basically it says, December 2021, President Biden issued a mandated executive order that the federal government was to switch to all 380,000 government vehicles to EV at a pace of 30,000 EVs a year. So yes, there was an EV mandate. Get informed. Now, by the way, I love it when people tell me to get informed when it's actually them who are not informed. Um, you know, so it became such a theme in America that everybody thinks they're an expert. Everybody thought they were a doctor during COVID. Everybody thinks that they're, president of America during elections. And at the end of the day, listen, uh, most people don't know shit about shit. I'm sorry. So now this guy is talking about converting the government fleet of vehicles to electric cars. Now, this is not a mandate for all of us to drive or buy or sell electric cars. This is just the government vehicles. And as you can see, when he admits against his own point, is that it's at the pace of 30,000 a year, which means it will take about what, if my math is correct, almost 13 years, which means that if a new president comes in, then that policy can be changed. The other one comes in, that could be changed. So any policy that goes beyond 4 years is just a pipe dream for any president. I don't care who you are. So, but this is not an AV mandate. This is an AV mandate just for the tiny little part of the all cars on the road, and it is just for the government. So let's move on. All right. Of course, another one starts. Well, you haven't been paying attention, right? Like I haven't dedicated 10 years of my career to this. Of course, Biden has been putting a gun to people's heads to make them buy EVs. The video is on, and then he gives me a list of all the right-wing media. So, again, I really, it's hard to argue with people who saying you're wrong, and then they bring no arguments or facts to the table at all. You know what I mean? So Biden wasn't holding a gun to anyone's head. Like literally, when you went to a car dealership, you could buy a gas. Most people ended up buying a gas car, right? Was it over 90% of people bought and will continue buying gas cars? So, okay, wrong again. All right, let's move on to something more. Okay, there's a lot of comments that have nothing to do with anything. See, Trump supporters throw mud one way. At that point, Biden supporters throw mud the other way. That is not helping. Let's see. Let's see. Biden plan to use EPA force. Okay, yeah. So that's another thing. And let me actually scroll up to something that I think is a little bit more relevant. Okay, of course, this guy starts with facts elude you, and people wonder why your career is in the toilet. Again, great stuff, dude, but where are your facts? Fine. Let's see. Okay, this guy says, check your facts and then make a video, bro. I told him to check his spelling and then make another comment, bro, but all right, fine. All right, now this guy says, dude, look up the carbon credits. It's effectively a mandate. Okay, let's talk about the credits, right? Which is not a mandate, not a mandate, but it is more in line with I think what Trump supporters are not happy with, or maybe Republicans, whatever, conservatives, which is people basically saying, we don't want the government to basically uh, tell us what cars can be on sale and what cars cannot be on sale and who should buy what and stuff like that. So that comment was actually a decent and had a point. Now, let me bring up one more before I start commenting because I have to go between like a million different windows. Um, it's hard to find these comments that are actually on the money and actually do bring up um, a good point. Okay. Now this is the stupidest comment that people made, and honestly, I if you look at my comments, I pushed back quite harshly on this because essentially a lot of these guys and maybe gals were bringing up the California mandate. Okay. Now, again, this is where people shouldn't be even having a right to vote if they don't understand how U.S. government works. Um, a president of the United States has no control over the mandates, regulations, and laws of any state, including California. So there's nothing Trump or anybody else can do about what California as a state mandates. That's just not how things work. And yes, California standards essentially become nationwide standards, which you can argue is unfair, which and I would agree. But if California mandates something and there's such a huge market, then automakers end up basically making the cars under those regulations for the rest of the country. Not all of them, right? There's some that only sell in states with the similar regulations as California and just don't sell them in other states. But that is the right of the manufacturers, and this is where I agree. Let the market decide. But this is such a stupid fucking argument, guys. There's just complete misunderstanding of what the federal government is versus what a state government is. Now I'm gonna try to scroll maybe for another minute, and if I don't find one of those more reasonable comments that I actually wanted to talk about, okay, this guy brings up New York. All right, so that's another really bad argument. Another California. Okay, more name calling, more name calling. Um, Okay. So, all right. Let me just not waste your time, and I will tell you what the actual good argument actually is. Oh, sorry. I forgot to scroll with you. Sorry. I didn't know I wasn't switched. But so let me scroll a little bit more. But so what people have brought up, which is actually legit, is because EPA, right, the government agency that is under control of a president appointed person, the I forget the name of the position. Here, let me know if you can hear me because it's told me something happened to my mic, which I absolutely hate. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, so here's and by the way, for those of you who are joining late, let me also play what this is all about, which is a quick insert from Donald Trump's acceptance speech at RNC. Um,
And I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day one.
okay, was there sound? Yeah, I know you guys are saying that the audio is muted, but I think it should be okay now. So let me know. Yeah, this happened last time, and honestly, I'm gonna have to do something about my mic and stuff like that. Okay, so could you guys hear what Donald Trump was saying in this clip? Because I played it, but I couldn't hear it. Okay, I know why I couldn't hear it. Let's see. Yeah, but you guys could. Let's see. It's giving me more trouble, but you guys just let me know. As soon as you guys let me know you cannot hear me, I see it right there on the screen, but it sounds like it's fine. Okay, so now I can't emphasize over and over and over again that this pandemic of bullshit in America from both sides is that people think that there's no better than people who do this for a living. Like I don't claim to know about infectious diseases or COVID or vaccines or science or a lot of things. I don't know about most of the things, but this has been my job for almost 10 years. So, at the very least, you got to respect my experience, my opinion. But whenever people come in and go like, oh, you fucking suck, you Democrats, how many people call me a Democrat? Even though I said, listen, I'm not a Democrat at all. I'm just trying to figure out the facts. Because there is a legitimate point that, hey, if you are, if by the way, oh, are you also watching, anybody's watching me on Twitter? Because Twitter had a new rule. Oh yeah, I guess I'm streaming live on Twitter. Very good. Because Twitter had a new rule about live streaming. So you have to pay money to Elon Musk in order to stream on Twitter, and which I did. All right, so eh, people have to be better, and I don't know if people will be, but they have to be better at respecting people whose job actually it is to do whatever it is that they do, right? So obviously, I'm aware of all the mandates and rules and agendas and Project 2025 and EPA regulations and California regulation. Like, I'm not a dummy. There's a good reason why I made a career out of this for the last 7 years. I'm not always right. I don't always have all of the information, but I have most of the information. So somebody just sitting there and thinks that they know everything about everything because they watched a few YouTube videos. It's just, we can't operate like this, guys. We can't. So anyway, California regulations, Donald Trump, nobody who is the president of America is going to be able to do anything about. However, the EPA mandates, yes, that is something that is true. However, I believe the EPA mandate is for 2035 or 2030, something very, very far ahead. And like I said in the beginning, if there's any type of regulation, any type of sort of executive order or something that the executive order can reverse, it's only as good as maximum 4 years that the president is in power, right? Because after that, a new president can come in, especially, well, I guess with Kamala Harris now, if she was to win, it would be her first term. But let's say if Donald Trump comes into the office, that would be his second term. So that means that whatever he can implement, especially with executive orders, and that's what he is referring to. Obviously, if he wants to do something on day one, it would have to be an executive order, like every president does on day one, most of the time, or week one when they come into office. Tons of executive orders, and that's their right. That's a reward for winning the presidency. But you cannot, say something. Oh, we're going to get rid of this mandate. That's really for something that's 8-10 years down the road. You can probably slow it down, but all of that is just a lot of rhetoric and very little action that you can take. Now, I would be interested to know what you guys think in terms of should the government essentially dictate what happens to free market. On one hand, there are people who say, listen, it's a capitalist country and it's all about the free market. And if these companies are polluting, then people should either like bond together and not buy products from them and buy products from companies like Tesla, who only sell electric cars, and Rivian and Lucid and so forth, or sue these companies in court and stuff like that, right? The government should not be telling private and public companies what they can and cannot sell. Fair point. On the other hand, you can argue that, well, part of the thing that why we have government is that a government's job is to protect people from a lot of things. For example, from an invasion from other countries, right? And not always military invasion, right? Like right now, Biden administration put 100% tariff on electric cars made in China. They're trying to protect us from Chinese made goods and Chinese companies to take over American companies. So, but one can argue that one of many jobs of the government is to protect our air and drinking water and many other things that are just kind of basic things that we need, that we need. And quality of air is, and quality of water, right? If we're talking about pollution, that does fall under that, into that category. So you can make a case that, listen, our government and is giving plenty of time to these companies to say, listen, you can no longer make products that pollute the cities, and then it's the government that has to contribute into cleaning the air, dealing with lung cancer cases and many other things that come along with it. A lot of times in where the pollution is very concentrated, and in historic cities, people have noticed that the pollution in the air actually starts destroying. Okay, sorry, this is frustrating. My mic keeps just getting muted on its own. There's like, I'm not even touching my equipment, so I'll deal with it. Sorry about that. So I was saying, in some of the bigger cities, they discovered that the actual pollution is eating into the historic buildings, into the pieces of art and stuff like that, and it's the government's job to protect that. So yeah, so that's my. Let me know. This is kind of how I'm looking at it. I don't think I see that you guys are telling me you lost the sound, but I think it's going to come back within a few seconds. I don't think that there is a kind of a right solution. And once again, everyone's free to move around the world as they please most of the time, right? Like, I did not want to live in America anymore for many reasons, and that's something that I was going to talk about today, but I guess I'll move it to tomorrow. And by the way, I was a guest on a couple of podcasts, kind of a dating and men's rights podcast. So you can probably find me on that. One of them is from podcast, I think it's called How to Talk to Girls, from Trip Advice, TRIPP. Just talking about why I left America, the dating culture, and all that stuff. But on this channel, I was going to talk about just something more general, right? Crime and all that stuff. So, like, I said, okay, well, I don't want to live in America anymore. Like, my parents said, we don't want to live in Russia anymore, and they moved, including me and my sister, when we were young, to America. And now I'm saying, okay, listen, it was a great ride, and maybe I'll come back one day, but right now, that's not a country for me. I don't want to live there. I did that first with California. I said, I don't want to live in California anymore, and I moved to Texas again. I'm an independent. It had very little to do with politics, but it had a lot to do with culture that I guess politics created. So it is, so I guess this is just how it is. And I think what we're forgetting, or you guys are forgetting a lot of times in America, is that, listen, we're all agreed that we live in democracy until, it ends. I personally think it ended with the decision by the Supreme Court that give any president the immunity to essentially assassinate the rival, which hopefully will never happen, but it looks like they made it legal. So I think the democracy already ended in America. It just hasn't been actually, acted upon yet. But, and if you do agree that if you want to live in a democracy, you'll have to obey by the rules, which means if the other side wins, well, that's what's going to happen, at least for the next 4 years. And if you don't want it to happen, then you can move to another country. Or if you don't like state politics, right? If you don't like abortions, you can move to Texas. If you love abortions, you can move to California. So, you have choices. Let's see. Let me just, I know there's tons of time. Everyone's got an opinion about it, and I appreciate it. I see so many more people talking, but I wanted to go back to the comment from Eric. Because he said, why did Trump make a deal with Elon Musk? Is he behind Tesla, or will he destroy the #1 U.S. made EV? So there is no deal between Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk has endorsed him, which I think is incredibly stupid. But, that's not up to me to decide. It's up to those of you who hold the Tesla stock. I mean, if you're holding a Tesla stock and the CEO of that company, whose job it is to make you money, literally, like that's his entire job, is literally working against you, consistently working against the company, you should sell and run away from that company. But if you're okay with it, then it's your problem. What I think is going to happen, that a lot of people now are going to stop buying Teslas. Think about 40% of our country that are Democratic, right? Because essentially what's going to happen, these people, and by the way, there's a lot of Democrats who buy electric cars, right? That's kind of a left thing to do right now. So what's going to happen, I think, is, 40% of the country that are Democrats are going to say, well, wait a second. If I'm going to pay for my Tesla, I'm not just giving my money to this company. I'm essentially giving my money to the company who's going to give it to Elon Musk, who's going to give it to the guy who's literally my enemy in some ways, right? The guy who represents the part of the country I don't agree with. So I don't want to do that, because when you buy a Tesla, essentially you're kind of making a donation to Donald Trump. Now, he did walk that back, right? Because there was a report that Elon Musk was going to donate like $45 million per month to Trump. He now rolled that back, but he did made a super PAC, I believe it's called, right? Essentially a PAC that is independent of any political campaign, but obviously they're made to accept money because they can get limited money into the PAC and then spend it on advertising for the candidate or against the other candidate. So it does seem like, paying for Tesla, a lot of people will think like, well, I don't want to be paying for Trump's campaign, into Trump's campaign or next campaign and stuff like that. And I think that's what's going to happen with the sales. They've already gone down. Tesla is the only company that makes electric cars whose sales have gone down in the last reported month, which is at this point is May. Year over year, Tesla is the only company whose electric car sales have gone down by 15% actually, while everybody else has gone up, right? GM gone up, Kia went up 150%, Rivian, and I think, Nissan even almost doubled. So I think that's going to continue that people will stop buying Teslas for political reasons. So I think that was incredibly stupid of Elon Musk to do, to kind of go political and throw his support behind a guy who essentially 40% of the country hates. So yeah, but I don't think there is a deal between those two. There might be in the future, but yeah. Okay, so now here's an interesting comment. I guess we can chit chat about other things here, but Apollo G says he won't do anything for the single fact that he's going to lose the election. Listen, you don't know. The polls are showing that Harris and Trump are pretty much tied right now. We also know there's like over 3 months to go. Hillary Clinton was killing Trump at this time during the 2016 campaign, right? And look what happened. So making these predictions, and by the way, the momentum is with Trump, right? Overall, he's done incredibly well in a debate. I know the stakes were low. Stakes were very low. But generally speaking, right, he done so well in the debate. He forced the president of the United States to do something completely historic and quit the race with a little over 3 months to go, right? That's how bad the debate was for Joe Biden. On the other hand, Kamala Harris is not even liked by her own party. I mean, have you heard of her in the last 3 years? No, like that's very unusual. And yet she's the one getting the nomination. I think that's not very smart of Democrats, right? Because there are quite a few things that will bother some of the voters, whether the right way or not. You can call them racist and sexist. Whatever. I'm just here to give you facts, right? So it is very close right now. And generally speaking, and especially after the assassination attempt, Donald Trump has the momentum. It's slowed down by this whole Biden to Harris transformation, and she's having her moment right now, and absolutely she should. But we don't know. We just don't know. By the way, we don't even know who her vice president is going to be. Like Donald Trump picked a vice president that has so many clips that are going to be used in Democratic PAC and pro-Harris campaign commercials. Your head will spin, right? Because there's a million clips of him saying, Donald Trump is a piece of crap. I hate him. He's a con, blah, 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 right? There will be tons of commercials of basically Trump's choice for VP saying how bad Trump is. So and we don't know what Harris is going to do with her VP choice. It looks like she's going to go with someone who is probably not that great. From what I'm seeing the choices, she's not going to do herself any favor. So Paulo, we don't know. Making a call right now is just stupid. I'm sorry. All right. Let's move on to another comment. And Barry says, nobody cares that there is a personal mandate. If automakers can't make them, then it might as well be a personal mandate. Well, had whether or not they can ban I think there's a good argument both ways. But the manufacturers are making them. They're making and selling more and more and more of them with every month. So that's it's just it's the fact, regardless of what people are saying, how electric cars are dead and everything. No. Also, Barry says EVs are good enough to convince people to buy them. The prices are dropping and are now below ICE cars. They're not below ICE cars if you have a comparison. Though, if you compare, let's say, a price of ownership of the first 5 years, yes, I would agree that even comparable cars, electric versus gas, are absolutely is now lower, and especially with this lease deals. Cliff says agree about a Supreme Court ruling, very bad. Yeah, guys, I honestly think that like I said, I'm an independent, and I can see positives and negatives in almost every decision, right? Even abortion. Like, I personally was all right with abortion being legal, but I'm also okay with states deciding whether or not abortion could be right, and then you have a choice. As an American, if that's a very important issue to you, which, by the way, it is absolutely not to like 99% of Americans and never will be, you can move to a different state. You have a choice. So, but this one, guys, this Supreme Court decision is literally just ended the democracy, because Biden can literally right now say, well, I believe Trump is colluding with Russia. I believe he's going to end democracy, and so I'm going to send the bunch of Marines to shoot him dead. And it sounds like Supreme Court is saying that that's perfectly fine, and it's very unfortunate. It is very, very unfortunate. Let's move on before my blood pressure shoots up out of my ears. Barry says if automakers will not make EVs because they don't want to, then Tesla and Rivian will just get more market share. Absolutely correct. Sorry. Matthew says I saw a Tesla driver pour his coffee out on the road or some kind of liquid. Okay, guys, I'm clicking on random comments because it started like it was gonna be anything, but I don't know where you're going with this. There's tons of shitty Tesla owners. I agree. All right, Joker MP1 says Alex, Tesla cars too expensive. Where is the 25,000? Listen, Tesla wants to position themselves as a luxury automaker. It's unreasonable to ask for a $25,000 car. I don't think it's ever going to happen. There are plenty of other manufacturers that are either already making $25,000 car or are going to make a $25,000 car, or you can buy one used for $25,000 or less. And don't forget, the price of an average car in America, of any car, gas or electric, is about $50,000 at this point. I don't know what percentage of Tesla Elon Musk owns, but he doesn't own just the shares. He also pretty much owns the board of directors, right? Eric says Volkswagen gave Rivian over $5 billion in investment and partnership. That is incorrect. It's up to $5 million. And as you remember, Rivian's deals with other manufacturers like Ford and Mercedes and Amazon even have fallen apart before they even started. I think it's hilarious that Volkswagen's paying for software, but at least they're doing it. I don't think the Rivian is the right company to do it, but whatever. I'm just saying this deal can fall apart just like the other ones with Ford. And by the way, RJ Scarinch, the CEO of Rivian, just revealed why those deals fell apart, and it fell apart for like ridiculously stupid reasons. Like, oh, we didn't realize our software couldn't talk to one another. Really? You didn't do some preliminary audits of your software, like by an independent company, before signing a huge deal? I mean, I think RJ is a horrible CEO, honestly, at this point. So, but it just kind of confirms that like these deals are not worth anything until they actually happen. But it's okay. I think it would be cheaper for Volkswagen to actually buy buy one of the software companies that does software for cars, which are plenty. I go to trade shows all the time, electric vehicle trade shows, even here in Asia. There's tons of companies who do this software. And like I said, I don't like Rivian software simply because they're too full of themselves right now. They think that they're better than Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they don't even have an option for you to have that. So I would not buy a car without an implementation of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. To me, it's a deal breaker. To some, maybe not. All right, interesting comment from Cliff. Cliff says, by the way, for me, I wouldn't buy a Chinese EV even if there's no tariff. It's not about the money. Well, Cliff, what is it about? Please tell me what is it about, because as you're typing the answer on a Chinese-made phone or a laptop, I never understood that. What's wrong with Chinese cars? I don't get it. You're wearing clothes made in China. Your furniture is probably made in China. Half of your shit in your house is made in China. The phone that you're typing this thing in made in China, and somehow you draw lines at Chinese cars. I don't get it. You genuinely, please explain it to me. I'd like to know. Let's see. I'm going to ignore a few comments here. All right. Eric says another thing. Rivian will dominate EV truck and SUV space. Eric, that is a ridiculous statement. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. I'm sorry. They're just not even smart enough. They don't have enough money. Ford is not going to let it. GM is not going to let it happen. Tesla is not going to let it happen. It's a very, very high and they are, don't forget, they cost way too much money. In order to dominate the truck market, you have to make relatively affordable trucks. All right, Cliff says, what do pollsters do after the election? They go back to their job as meteorologists. Well, that's funny. But yeah, no, pollsters do polls all the time because there are polls for all kinds of stuff that's going on, from midterm elections and local elections. They do a lot of that for corporations, and there's plenty of work for them to do, right? Let's see. Japanese cars, says Eric, proved to be very reliable. I drive one with over 226,000 miles and still going. Yeah, they were pretty reliable when you bought that car probably over 10 years ago. That's not the case now. David says, I like Xiaomi's SU7. Did I already release that video? Yeah, I have a video that's coming up. The cell phone maker, Xiaomi, I actually own one of their phones here. It's my backup phone. Is making a car now, electric cars. As a matter of fact, over 100,000 reservations, but they also made an Ultra, their phones, like premium versions called Ultra. So they're going to have a Xiaomi SU7 Ultra, and that's supposed to kick some booty in terms of 0 to 60 under 2 seconds. Jared the Gig says the JD Vance did not give him a bump, though. That is true. The vice presidential choice supposed to give you a bump. Now, I got to tell you, Donald Trump was riding some major wave of luck and success, right? From the Supreme Court immunity case to another case being dropped, to the assassination attempt survival, to, pretty much destroying Biden in the debate. I don't know if anybody could have given him a bump, but I do think that was not a good choice for him, right? I mean, like I said, I'm not rooting for either one of these guys or now gal, but that was not a great choice for him. I think if he was smart, he would have picked someone who appeals to independent people like me, right? Because Trump is very much on the right. So you want to reel in some people who are more in the center, maybe leaning right, who would be more comfortable with probably more of a traditional conservative like Mitt Romney. Or I think if he would have picked Florida Governor DeSantis, that would have been a really freaking good choice, because I got to tell you, that guy, as a Republican, does appeal to independents like me. I don't agree with half of the stuff that he says, but I really do agree with another half of stuff that he says, right? It brings people like me much closer to, possibly voting the other way if I was leaning the other way, right? So I think JD, and like I said, JD Vance just has so many video and audio clips just completely trashing Trump that I guarantee is going to come back to bite him in the booty. All right, Barry says, Harris is in the toilet. The only reason they have 100 million of donations is because they matched the nation 6-1. Okay, that's not correct, but she's not in the toilet because the latest polls show them either her ahead or tied with Trump. Now, these are national polls that don't mean as much because it's all about the battleground states. But in the battleground states, she is still in pretty much dead heat, maybe losing by 1 point, which is nothing at this point of the game. So no, she's not in the toilet at all. I don't know like what data you're looking at. That's a good question. From Matthew, he says, what will Harris do about EVs? We're not even sure about that. No, I think we're pretty sure because, I mean, she is a vice president right now. And I'm assuming she essentially, especially being endorsed by Biden, she will continue with the same policies. I think they're very close on their policies. If anything, I would say she's to the left of Biden, right? I think Biden is pretty center, if you ask me. I mean, it's more center. Paul T says, when Tesla has such a large percentage of EV sales, they will lose some market share, but their share of overall car sales are going up. Not true at all, and not only statistics tell you that and sales numbers, but also math. You can sell less electric cars year over year while everybody is selling more and still have your overall share grow. That's just mathematically impossible. But no, Tesla is absolutely losing their share. I mean, they still have a lot of, like half still, right? I believe in the US. But it is definitely going down. Listen, I think Tesla has made a lot of bad choices. And by Tesla, I mean Elon Musk, right? I think the revenues that are going to be coming in, and it looks like they've pretty much gone down to something much smaller from the self-driving package is drying up. I think the revenues from the cars are going to start drying up because, as we can see, they're having trouble selling these cars. And they will, after this endorsement, watch what's going to happen in the next quarter. I guarantee you that it is going to turn a lot of people off. I see a lot of comments in my videos and in other people's videos where people are saying, whoa, I was going to buy a Tesla, but now no way. I don't want my money to go to Trump's camp because I don't want to vote for Trump. I'm against Trump. So why would I donate to his campaign through my car purchase? It is going to be really rough. And I also think the Cybertruck, despite of what you're seeing on TV, is going to be a failure because it's not going to be able to compete with F-150 Lightning, with the Silverado EV, and with obviously their gas versions because they have to compete with all of them. Once people will realize that how expensive and hard it is to fix these Cybertrucks, that you basically it gets in an accident and it's totaled. We've seen that already in small numbers, but I think we'll see in larger numbers. I think the insurance rates will go up, and people will realize that it's just not worth just in insurance rates. There will be pretty much no independent shops that would want to deal with fixing refrigerators, essentially, right? Stainless steel, they don't want to touch that. It's too expensive to buy equipment to deal with it, so it will be only limited to Tesla, only exclusive monopoly shops, which we know Tesla doesn't grow at the same rate. I think Tesla's miscalculated a lot of things where they're going to start really losing their share very quickly. Well, okay, Paul says, I'm seeing thousands of Tesla all over my city. Most common EV now in California. Yes, but you're also seeing way more of the competitors growing. And I gotta tell you, wait until Chinese companies come here, right? I'm here in Bangkok, and I came here 1 year and 2 months ago. And when I came in here, it was mainly Teslas. If you look at the electric cars, were mainly Teslas. Now it is BYDs. And a bunch of other companies that you guys probably never heard of, but it's essentially MG and Icon and other Chinese-made cars. They're killing Tesla here. So as soon as there's some competition, which is common and is already around, Tesla is definitely losing shares. I mean, like I said, you can look with your eyes and you will find that, especially in California, Teslas are still dominating, but it is not going in the right direction for Tesla. Okay, Mr. Porcopas. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. You didn't make it easy on me. I'm not thinking Trump will destroy Tesla. He's not stupid. He's it's an American company. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't. Yeah, it looks like it's okay now, but let me know for how long you lost me. I don't know what is going on today. I am not touching my computer. This has always worked fine, so this is bullshit. Anyway, so I don't think. I mean, I think at this point, electric cars can stand on their own leg. The $7,500 dollar credit, less and less people can use it. Right? You can use it for the second car. You can use it if you buy an expensive electric car. You can use it if you're making too much money, which is really I think it says like 150,000, which a lot of people in California make. Sorry, it looks like you guys lost about 20 seconds. Yeah, like I said, guys, I'm not even like, my hands are right here. I don't know what the hell is going on. I will check on this after the stream, but it looks like I'm back. So Chinese equipment, says Clip. My laptop is actually HP, and my mic, Blue Yeti. Is it an American-made mic? Well, yeah. So, destroy Tesla, yeah. I think electric cars can stand on their own feet now. I think, the mandates, they can come and go. I personally think that we don't need the mandates beyond maybe the next 3 or 4 years. After that, we're good. I mean, look, the mandates were taken away from Tesla, and Tesla did better than ever. And now the the tax credits, the $7,500 tax credit, right? It was gone for like 2 years, and Tesla was doing really, really well. And now they're back, and Tesla is having trouble selling. So a lot of times it's not about that. Let's see, my neighbor okay, I'm just going to put this one on the screen. Eric says, my neighbors were able to buy a used Tesla Model 3 for $19,000. Absolutely believe you, because, it is not new technology, so the prices are falling pretty fast. And then, of course, Tesla has been cutting the prices, which is kind of screwing a lot of their, banks and people who bought them. They devalued the hell out of these cars. Yeah. David asked me, what is your opinion on the Nissan Ariya? I think it's a good looking car. I think it's an okay EV. Like, I would drive it, but I think the price is a little too high, though they've been selling it pretty decently lately. So I think it's an okay car. If you can get a great deal on it, then it's a good car. But for like sticker price, I think there are better options. Like Eric says that the Nissan Ariya is a strange looking SUV. Again, this is tough to argue about the taste. I think it's a really good looking SUV. I really liked it. Sumas says, unless there's something about EVs that benefits Trump personally, he will do all he can do to squash them. Well, he also needs to have a reason to hate electric cars, right? Because remember when GM was like closing down the factories, and he was like, not on my watch, and he ended up kind of giving birth to Lordstown Motors that ended up kind of solidifying their formation. Unfortunately, they went bankrupt, but at that time, hey, he kept a lot of American jobs. He kind of created a new electric car company, and I talk about that in my short that I was telling you about earlier. So he was all about the Lordstown Motors was going to make nothing but electric trucks when it suited him, which I do believe that was a good thing that he did as a president, right? Created or kept some of the American jobs. I'm all for that. But at that time, he was all for electric cars, right? All right. He also says he gets $45 million from Musk. Well, Musk says that it's not happening, so that's not really a deal. And it's not a deal only one party is doing something, another one has not agreed to it. Let's see. Tesla's going to make it cheaper. All right. Tesla's goal is to make a cheaper EV with each model design. That is not at all their goal. Their goal is to make as much money as possible. Okay, that they don't give a shit about you guys. Like, why do you guys think these corporations give a shit about you? Yes, in the beginning, these startups, which Tesla was 10 years ago, and that's when I got behind Tesla, right? There was part of we care about their environment, all this. They didn't give a shit about you guys. Like, seriously, this is such a mistake to think these corporations care. Come on. Jared the Geek says, I see more and more Rivian Amazon vans. Yeah, they're actually, I mean, they're flooding the streets now, and that's a good thing, right? It's absolutely great thing, because that a lot of pollution comes from those bigger vehicles like delivery vans. Tesla can't sustain with $25,000 car, needs luxury market, and this is only in the US, the problem, not in China. Yeah, I mean, I think this whole $25,000 car, I mean, if Tesla ever makes that car, it's going to be a really sucky car. Any car, gas or electric, at $25,000 is just going to be a piece of crap. Budget car, maybe it will be out there, maybe not, but even if it will make it to the market, it will be nothing to talk about, really. It's just going to be point A to point B with a short range. All right, Matthew says, GM doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto either. I've heard a reference to, yes, GM is also going away from that. I think it's a mistake. Like I said, there's plenty, like, it doesn't cost you that much to put it in, especially GM had it in their cars. I know I had a GM, Chevy Volt. I personally would not buy a car without it unless there's absolutely amazing implementation of my cell phone into the car, and right now there's none. I really don't know what's wrong with these guys. Why they're making decisions that possibly can hurt them rather than making decisions that probably won't. I just don't understand it. Next comment comes from, China has better electric cars. It comes from the guy, that's his name. That's why I kind of skipped it. Oh, shit. Audio problems again? Let me guess. Oh, no, it came back, right? Okay. China has better electric cars than the West combined. I mean, China's got a lot of good electric cars. By the way, how do you know? Well, tell me, where do you live? Because I live in Southeast Asia, here in Bangkok. I see Chinese electric cars all over the place. I went to quite a few auto shows here and talked to a lot of these guys and tried a lot of these cars out. Some of my friends drive them. When I order Uber, or is it called here, Grab, I ride in them. So no, they're not better. Well, and by the way, what is better? I just hate when people make statements like this, dude. I really hate when people make statements like this, because better is not a measuring tool. And then then whenever you say something and back it up with no facts, it's just like, I feel like I'm talking to a 5-year-old, Oh, okay. Okay. Matthew answers one of my questions from a while back. He says, I think people problems with Chinese-made cars from Chinese companies that they may spy on you. But you can just get rid of your smartphones and like half of the stuff in your life, and they might be spying on you. Why do you think your lives are so interesting? Honestly, what is it that they're going to see that they're going to use against you? Tell me. How is it different than Facebook spying on you? I mean, honestly, yeah. But this is just my opinion. Rivian is working on cheaper versions of their vehicles. That's right, but none of them are trucks. And in order to dominate truck market, which I guess you're replying to my comment, replying to that comment, you need to make cheaper trucks. All right. Here's RC. See, it's easy to pronounce RC. I can do that. Barely, though. There should be no mandates. We're free people. There should be no government incentives to buy specific items, cars, or anything else. Yes, but don't forget, there are subsidies for oil and gas right now. Like, there's still, right? Let me know if you have children. Should you be getting subsidies for having children versus someone like me who doesn't have children? Like, it is a very slippery slope, right? I guarantee you there are a bunch of incentives that you're either receiving personally, or you bought products because of that, because the products are cheaper, because of the subsidies or incentives or whatever, right? So you can be against some that you may not want, but then for others that you want and need, you know? So, yeah. Let's see. All right, so this is actually a good comment. We're talking about the JD Vance, the Trump's choice for vice president. He chose him for the election. He has key states to win, so Trump chose based on how he can win the election. That's true. JD Vance might deliver him. What is it, Pennsylvania? No, whatever state he's from, it definitely helps. But like I said, it also is going to hurt him on national level, I think. Yes, so Harris money was grassroots generated, and donations was $90. No, it was $90. It was now it's over 100 million, and I can see it continuing. Right? We don't honestly like. She's been the vice president for all this time, right? And before she was a senator and stuff like that. But even I feel like I kept my fingers on the pulse of American politics. Even I don't know what kind of president she's going to be, right? Like, what are her actions, especially on what we have bigger problems with, is the wars in the world, right? The Middle East conflict, the Ukrainian conflict, the China conflict, all of that stuff. I don't know yet. And I think, and then, what are women are going to think of her? What are Black and Asian people are going to think of her, right? Is she going to win them over just because they can relate to her better? Or like with Hillary Clinton, she turned a lot of women off by being a woman, right? So I just don't know yet. But it does look like a lot of regular people, because a lot of these donations are grassroots, are supporting her. So maybe they know something I don't know, but I'd like to hear more from her, because we haven't in a long time. Yeah, that's another, sounds like a true fact. I don't want to rubber stamp this, but Jared the Geek says Tesla registrations in California are down 24% year over year. Sounds about right. Let's see. Paul T says, not impossible if EV sales are a greater percentage of overall sales, and they will sell more than 50%. I think you're replying to something in particular that we already kind of moved on from. Sorry, I just don't remember what it was. Eric says federal government wants all cars to meet safety standards, as we have too many accidents in the U.S. Yeah, that's another thing. Are we going to complain that government, mandates the airbags and seatbelts? Because you guys would be ridiculously stupid to think that the car makers are putting airbags and seatbelts and have crumble zones and anti-shattering glass because they like you. They don't give a shit about you. They're only doing it because there's a government mandate. Do you want to take that away? I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's see. You guys talking to each other. All right. So I see a lot of comments like this. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of Teslas on the road and stuff like that. Guys, there's one thing, your eyes, and another thing is the statistics, okay? Yes, Teslas are overwhelmingly the majority of electric cars on the road, but you are seeing more and more other cars. I can tell you why, by the way. When you see a Tesla, most people know what a Tesla looks like, because there's only like 4 models, and definitely the Cybertruck, right? You see a Cybertruck, you see the Model Y, 3, whatever, you're like, no, that's a Tesla. But there's tons of electric cars that people have no clue, including you guys who may be like electric car enthusiasts, but a lot of times you have no clue if it's an electric car or not. I mean, Volvo cars, not there are some models that are made in a gas and electric version, and a lot of times you just can't tell unless you look under the tail and see if there's a tailpipe. And there's just a lot of Toyota BZ4X. I guarantee you that majority of people will not be able to tell it's an actually all electric car. So that's why people say, oh, I'm seeing all these Teslas and there's so many, but it's like, no, you're seeing a lot of electric cars. You just don't know you're seeing them. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, I'm trying to catch up. Yeah, that's right. The Kia Hyundai has been selling EVs without a tax credit for 2 years now, and their sales are through the roof. They are killing it. Let's see. It's on the same topic. I'm trying to catch up. For EV quotas. Okay, so I don't understand this question, Mark. Maybe you can qualify, but Mark is asking, isn't there a mandate for EV quotas? On what? I don't know. Please clarify. Man. All right. There's a question from Mark here. I think he's clarifying it. Manufacturers have to sell a certain numbers of EVs. Okay, so this is what we talked earlier, right? There are sort of carbon tax mandates, you would call them, right? That you can only sell so many cars that pollute so much of the air. And that's why it basically told car companies to either reduce the pollution of the gas cars you're making, or you can continue pollute with gas cars that you're selling, but you also have to sell a lot of, or a good number of electric cars. So yeah, that is not really, you can call it a mandate as well. But then, like I said, then we went into the conversation whether or not that's a reasonable mandate, just like mandate for airbags or seat belts. And honestly, guys, China is going to kick our ass. And by our, I mean the world's ass. And they're going to do it with electric cars, you know? So if you want to compete with China, if you want America to be number one, right? You'll have to compete with China in electric cars. And China is not shy about requiring their manufacturers, the manufacturers who do business in China, to make more and more and more electric cars in a very aggressive manner. So all of you America fist pumping people who also say, oh, I don't want to mandate electric cars, you're going to lose to China, which I think you guys don't like. Okay. Rise and Shout says, with Waymo's iPace contract ending, well, the iPace contract ending is because iPace is ending. I don't know if you guys heard, and I think I already made a video about it. Yeah, I did. That Jaguar is going to discontinue the iPace, the OG, really, and replace it with nothing for now. You know, so I think that's part of it. Who do you think Waymo will pick for their next 1,000 car annual delivery, 2025 and beyond? I don't know. I thought the iPace was a very weird choice because these cars, you know, they didn't. I mean, it was a young company, and they were not exactly rich. And buying luxury Jaguars versus what did they have? Chevy Bolts, right? What did they have before that? Oh no, they have plug-in hybrids before that. You know, that was not a smart choice, I don't think. So maybe they'll go to something cheaper, maybe American made. I mean, the GM is now making cheap electric cars, but at the same time, it's not just about, well, I like this car. Well, can that other company, that automaker make and deliver and service those cars? And I don't know the answers to those questions at all. Jared the Geek says, until Apple CarPlay and Android Auto has better EV route planning that ties into the car, I don't care if a car has it. I think they do. Honestly, I think they do. But like again, it's hard to argue because there's no. I mean, not every route is the same in comparison. So, Matthew says, I'm actually never driven a car with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but I've been in one where they have it. Like I said, to me, it's a deal breaker. For some, you know, maybe not. All right, so Marjorie Taylor Greene comment, you know, which I addressed in one of my shorts. I'm pretty much, besides this live streams, which I kind of do for fun now, I only make shorts. I only make videos 60 seconds or less, but I make more of them, one or two a day. She said the gas price will go up if we all switch to EVs. She's an idiot. Like, it has nothing to do with the Republican or Democrats have their own idiots on the other side.
like Talib, for example. So they're idiots on both sides. She's just a village idiot for Republicans. That was ridiculously stupid, and I already made a video about that. Jared, the Geek says, I would like to see more videos on cars. Getting a spam call from America. I would like to see more videos on cars we can't get in the US that you have access to there. I have access to a lot of them because they're all over the place. My question is, why? And I kind of held myself back from doing that. Plus, I don't like doing car reviews because, do you guys really care what you can't have? So I don't know. Tell me why you want to know, and I actually might do that. I did a couple of videos on BYD Seal and on BYD, and it seemed like people watched it. But Silver GT asks, can you buy an Xpeng P7 in Thailand? We cannot. The first Xpeng car, I believe it's G6, that's coming to Thailand in a few more months. I can see billboards all over the place. They already were at the Bangkok International Auto Show. So, yeah. Let's see. Yep, that's correct. There are also subsidies for airlines as well. Good point. Infinity DOK. That's right. So JD Vance is a Ohio guy. Important battleground state, yes. But like I said, I thought there were better choices. Kevin Ann says Donald and Elon match made in hell. I mean, it looks that way, but at the same time, if Trump becomes president and he's friends with the guy who's an electric car guy, maybe Trump will go easy on electric cars. And at the end of the day, within the scope of this conversation of electric cars, then maybe it's actually a good thing for electric cars. I think we talked about it last week. So make a mark. Says, I believe it's a smart Elon endorsing Trump, going to get him favorably under the new administration. That's exactly what I'm saying. But I got to tell you, the backlash from people who don't like Trump and don't essentially want to donate to his campaign, right, through their purchase of Teslas, are going to turn away, especially with all these other choices out there. I think that was a really, really bad move. Matthew's asking Alex what it's like living under a monarchy. We tend to trash it nowadays, so I wanted to hear your thoughts. Well, I think I live, so I'm going to make that video next week, and please join me live because I'll be talking about, I know I keep pushing it, about my life in Thailand and how I like it better and all that stuff. I think, I got a super chat, and it's a huge one for $20. Nate, I will get back to you after this one. So hold on tight for a second. Okay, and by the way, at some point, I'm thinking about not having sponsors at all and only living off of your contributions of people who follow me. So I'm thinking about it. But anyway, so here's the thing. I felt like a second-class citizen in America for many reasons. And it was like in my daily life. This is not because I'm watching TV. It's because when I go to a restaurant and I'm unhappy with someone who's providing shitty service, I can't say anything if that person is a woman or black or gay or whatever. Automatically, my complaint about their shitty service becomes, oh, you're just saying that because you're racist or sexist or whatever it is, right? So you can't say shit at all. So to me, my freedom of speech was already taken away a long time ago. And by the way, this is not really monarchy because we have our own actually government body and a prime minister, but there is a king and royal family. The only thing that you cannot say here essentially is you cannot criticize royal family. I like that law. I think the punishment is a bit harsh, but I think when people do it accidentally, they are a little bit more lenient. So, but generally speaking, I love it here because I can say all this stuff now. I can say things that I want to say without being called a racist and a sexist because I'm not. So, I love it living here. I really like the way this country is run. By the way, they have a lot of Thailand first laws. For example, I think one of the biggest flaws in America is that anybody from another country can come in and buy land What a stupid way to run a country. Here, I cannot buy land because I'm a foreigner. They don't want foreigners to own their country, like literally their land. I mean, you know how much of America China owns? A ridiculous amount. I just think that was a big mistake to allow foreigners and foreign companies to come in and buy literally parts of the country, and invest, and therefore have a really big power over the country. Here, foreigners cannot buy country. This is Thailand first rule. I love it. You cannot have a company where you bring a bunch of Indian people or Russian people and work their jobs for half of the wage because you control their visas. No, here, if you want to hire a foreigner, you must hire 4 Thai nationals to compensate for it. Love it. Love it. You know, so no, we have a lot of great stuff here. And like I said, there's a lot of other things like, better healthcare, extremely low violent crime, and on and on and on. And I'll talk about it. And definitely better choice of traditional women to marry. That's for sure. Yeah, but like I said, I felt like I was living in a country with no freedom of speech or me. Glad to be out of there, not coming back anytime soon unless things change. All right, another comment from the guy whose name I cannot pronounce. The main challenge for EVs, primarily in the US, and although Europe is facing setbacks, China is set to surpass the West in EV adoption. Meanwhile, Japan is not sitting idle and is actively advancing. I don't know about Japan, honestly, but because I was just there a few months ago, well, more than like 6 months ago, and I didn't see that many electric vehicles there, by the way. It's mainly Toyotas and Hondas, and they don't make electric cars much. So not true about Japan, but China is absolutely. China is going to just rule the world through this. Well, Kevin, does Elon realize a huge number of his customers are Democrats? He loves shooting himself in the foot. I mean, this is what I've been saying. I think the biggest, like, if you are a Tesla shareholder and you continue holding your shares, I think you're a stupid investor. I think you're investing in a company where the CEO is actively trying to tank the company by, doing stuff like that. And remember, only a few months ago, he fired the most important department in the entire company, who, by the admission of majority of Tesla owners, were creating and maintaining the best part of Tesla's brand, which was their superchargers. How this guy is still a CEO? Well, I guess I know how. But how are you guys still investing in their stock? That's beyond me. But whatever. Oh, sorry. I promised I'm going to get to the super chat. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. All right. $20 super chat. Thank you so much. By the way, money here goes so much further. For $20 here, I can buy, technically I can buy lunch and dinner for 5 days here. Yeah, absolutely I can. So as a matter of fact, a lot of times I get this boneless sliced duck over rice. It comes with blood cubes. I know you guys kind of go, okay, blood cubes. They're very delicious, with a bowl of duck soup, all for $1.90, depending what the conversion between $1 and Thai baht is. So thank you, first of all. I don't like mandates that add complexity, especially if the system isn't ready. For example, I don't want to see an adaptive cruise control or adaptive brakes. I think the EV mandate is supposed to be a percentage thing, or a ban on ICE sales by 20XX. I mean, I agree to a point. Obviously, the easier the things are, the better. But, like, for example, this $7,500 tax credit, I mean, it's kind of complicated, but it makes sense in a lot of ways. I don't think that it should apply to people making a certain amount of money. I think that's communism or socialism, whatever you want to call it. But the breakdown about, how many parts and how battery is sourced in terms of where it's produced, even though that's complicated, I think that's a good thing. So yeah. So, but thank you, Nate. I know you've been a viewer and participant for a long time, so I really appreciate it. Have I seen EV5 there at the car show? Not on the streets. I don't see that many. matter of fact, I don't think I've seen a single EV9 here. I've seen EV6s, but not EV9s. You don't have a TikTok account, Cliff? Oh, TikTok is the worst company if you're a creator and the best company, social media platform if you're a viewer. Well, probably not that. I mean, they definitely serve shit that keeps you out of getting a lot of other information if you're like, yeah, I don't know. Cliff says, keep the sponsors. It's not that easy nowadays, by the way, especially with me remember, a lot of my sponsors were automakers, but once I started criticizing them, they all left. So I'd rather depend on my audience than the sponsors. But now I have kind of a new format, right? All of my videos are short. There's a lot of them. So we'll see how I do for the rest of the year, and I'll probably start trying to get more sponsors for those because it's a different type of sponsors. Let's see. Ricardo says, really, don't think that will be the case to stop supporting EVs, let the Chinese in, then that will make the market. Okay, so I don't mind. I think America should let Chinese manufacturers in. I think there should be still a tariff, not 100% tariff, that's ridiculous, but enough to make Chinese manufacturers build factories in America, hire American workers, and essentially become American entities, just like China has with other manufacturers. But American consumer will benefit when, these cars are pretty good. These Chinese EVs are pretty damn good, guys. Mark says, if I didn't get lucky and marry the wife I have, I would definitely have been a passport bro. Women in America just don't respect men and family. Absolutely agree. The funny part is that a lot of American guys and Western guys who come here, they still get taken advantage of by either Western women who live here, which is not that many, and Thai women who speak English who are Westernized. Like, a lot of men come here and don't realize that they don't have to simp anymore for this devolved species of single Western women. It's pretty sad. I mean, I literally just talked to a friend who just basically got taken to a bank by a girl who basically suckered them into buying her a bunch of dinners and giving him nothing in return. But, at the end of the day, I blame men. I blame American single men for the way American single women are. Men should take all responsibility for that disaster. And for men like me, getting the hell out of there. Okay, that's a comment to one of you. Eric says, it would destroy the USA EV competition as they can build them cheaper than Chinese EVs. Okay, I don't know what that comment was about. Let's get to the next one. It says, disagree with your opinion on Tesla. They will think they will much better. Okay, I don't understand what you're disagreeing on, so please clarify. Cliff says, I'm losing my voice. Similar to why I don't support Trump, China doesn't have a good government. There are plenty of other non-China manufacturers contributing to EV competition. Okay, so you don't want to buy Chinese-made cars because you disagree with the Chinese government, right? Is what I'm gathering. But are you also staying away from buying Chinese-made phones, computers, clothes, furniture, and everything else? I doubt it, right? So you see where I'm going with that? Kevin N says Tesla is down 10% today on their earnings report. I think that's not enough. I think they should be down 50% or 70 or 80% on their crazy CEO working against the shareholders report. But if those guys want to keep going, whatever, it's your money. Texas scientist says, we're Democrats in Texas, and I have a Model 3, but I did not buy it as a tribute to some dude. I bought it to save me money, not paying gas, and boy, has it. There will continue to be people like you, that will say, listen, I don't care where my money is going to. I want to get the value for my money. And after that, because at the end of the day, like, most people don't really research the CEOs and ownership of the companies that they buy products from, right? That's a counter argument. But unfortunately, Elon Musk has become such a vocal supporter of Trump, right? And such a vocal anti-democratic party type of a guy that it's an exception, right? You don't have to go out of your way to research him. Everybody now knows he's pro-Trump. And I think there will be a lot of people who are like you do see essentially contributing to Trump's campaign, a guy they may not like or don't like, if they buy a Tesla, right? Yeah, make a mark is interesting. I would like to see a poll of Republicans that would buy EV versus buy Tesla. I see a lot of Republicans wanting a Tesla because of Elon, just like I see Democrats leaving Tesla. I think Democrats leaving Tesla will be in many more numbers. Am I even speaking English? Than Republicans coming to Tesla, because like Republicans don't all of a sudden love Elon Musk more than they did a year ago because he endorsed Trump and would love to buy a Tesla because of that. Where I think a lot of Democrats would absolutely hate Elon Musk for the same thing and not buy a Tesla. It just doesn't work 50-50 that way, I don't think. Let's see. Okay. Rise and Shout says that you talk about firing the supercharger team. Okay, guys, when you're putting a comment in, you kind of have to incorporate all of your thoughts in one, because like I think that was a while back and I don't remember what we're talking about. So yeah. All right, Rise and Shout says, going to ask again. My Model 3 has about 150,000 miles, looking to replace in about a year. Currently looking at Lucid, but I definitely want something with Android Auto and a good range. Are you asking me to recommend a car? I don't recommend cars, just like I don't recommend women or sushi. Everyone's got a different taste, different needs, different budget. So unless you give me all of that information, I shouldn't recommend anything to anyone really. I'm almost caught up to the comments, because I think I only have another 5 minutes or so, guys. So if you have any more super chats to throw at me, by all means, do it in the next 5 minutes. Let's see. Make a Mark says, if China comes to the U.S. and manufactures on American soil, that will benefit China, the U.S. economy, and the consumer. I do agree with all three of those statements. By the way, I don't see anybody watching me on Twitter. Any of you guys are watching me on Twitter, on X or whatever? I do see that I am streaming there. Let me just check. Because this was a big deal. Twitter announced this week that if you want to use software like I'm using, where I'm streaming to multiple platforms, you have to pay Elon money, which means I'm donating to Trump's campaign. No, it looks like I am streaming. All right, whatever. All right, because there's like a couple of weeks I streamed on, and I had more Twitter followers watch me than YouTube followers. Paul T, interesting comment. The Democrats ignored Elon and treated him real bad, encouraging lawsuits and trying to stop his compensation. Why would he support the Democrats? Okay, well, I explain why he shouldn't support either one of the sides, and if he does, shut the fuck up about it. I just explained it to you like 5 times. Now, Democrats did not ignore Elon. Actually, they did a lot of good things for him and Tesla, right? The loans, a lot of regulations favoring electric cars, specifically Tesla. He's forgetting all of that, right? Forgetting all of that all of a sudden. Now the lawsuits are not filed by Democrats. The lawsuits were filed by consumer protection agencies. The lawsuits were filed by a lot of shareholders. The compensation one was absolutely correctly filed and correctly denied. I believe his second compensation package, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like he has essentially blackmailed the shareholders into re-voting for it, and I think it will be stopped again because there are laws, right? I don't care who goes after him. That was the right thing to do. That was the right decision to make. He lied to the shareholders to sell them the package, to vote for it. That's illegal. Can't do that. Don't like it? Change the law. He did it the second time. He this time maybe not lied, but definitely intimidated and blackmailed shareholders, saying, well, if you don't vote for me for my package, I'm going to literally steal the AI from Tesla, leave Tesla, and give it to another company I just started. Okay, it's reasonable to overturn that package again. So if he wants to do it legally, I don't have a problem with shareholders giving him whatever he thinks he deserves. He deserves a lot. He delivered in a big way. But you can't do it illegally. And it's not Democrats who did it. It's Elon fucking Musk who did it to himself by lying and cheating, intimidating, which is against the law when you are CEO of a publicly traded company. I'm sorry. But again, even if Democrats did hurt his fragile feelings, announcing that you're supporting a candidate that 40% of the country hate is bad business. Bad business. Scott says, I'm an extremely happy Tesla owner that won't buy another because of Musk. He has done so much harm by picking political sides, especially Trump. Like Tesla don't currently live. There you go. Listen, here's the thing. Even if 1 out of 5 people stop buying Teslas, right? That is a significant decrease in ownership. And remember, there are some families where, let's say, a guy says, I kind of like Tesla, I don't care about Elon Musk. But the wife says, whoa, I don't want to buy a car from a guy who supports a guy who is against women's rights. Okay, that's quite a common argument. Whether or not you agree with it is a different thing. I'm just saying there will be quite a few families where one family member, whether it's husband or wife or whatever, says, no Tesla for the family at all. And now 2 people are not buying a Tesla, right? I think the number of people who will be turned off by it in a big way, especially right now during the election cycle, is going to damage Q3 and Q4 numbers for Tesla in a big way, in a huge way, enormous way. All right. I think I'm caught up to all of the comments. Guys, before I go, because I'm losing my voice, it's also 1:30 in the morning here. I'm going to talk about unless something else happens that I want to talk to you live. By the way, this is a great conversation. Thank you for not being nasty. Thank you for not going, Trump 2024, Harris 2024, Trump sucks, Harris sucks, Biden sleepy. Thank you for not having any of that here, actually. I am quite pleasantly surprised. I love you guys for that. So thank you for having actually quite a civil, good conversation. I think a lot of points that you guys brought up are very very good. I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. Les says, I had 2 Teslas. My next EV will not be a Tesla. I doubt hardcore Republicans will buy EV, whatever Elon would do. I agree with that. Also, European and Chinese EVs are getting much better now. I think they're really pretty good. Like I said, I see a lot of them here. I've seen a lot of them in person. I've been driven in many of them because for the Uber. So thank you guys. Thank you for saying thank you. Okay, before I go, unless something else really major happens where I decide to just talk about that instead, I do want to talk about my life in Thailand. And a lot of you guys have been asking, and I already made a quick video and it done really. Clip says, Biden 2024, LOL. Okay, all right, I know I asked for it. So tell me, what do you want to know? So I'll tell you a quick synopsis, right? I left America because I basically did not want to date American women anymore. I want a traditional wife, not 1950s traditional, but like not what's now being offered, and for many other reasons, like smaller reasons, were essentially like I felt like a second-class citizen as a white straight man in America. But I stayed here for other reasons because dating here is very complicated. For example, Thai women who speak English are too westernized, where I'm not going to marry one here for most likely that speaks English. So you have to learn Thai to actually be able to date traditional Thai women. Thai is one of the most difficult languages in the world to learn, especially for an old fart like me who has like no brain for memory at all. So that's going to take a minute. But I stay here for many other things. For example, a lot of people are shocked to know that healthcare here, if you can afford insurance, which is much, much cheaper than America, much cheaper, and you can go to one of the best hospitals in the world here with Western and Stanford educated doctors, you know, healthcare is 1,000,000 times better. Low crime. Like, that's another thing. Just people don't understand. Just pretty much no violent crime, and many, many other things. What an incredible! If you can now, or in the comments later, if you're watching me in the replay, what are the things you want me to concentrate on more? The dating part, and if so, is it why I didn't like American Western women, or what I like about traditional women here? Do you want me to talk about maybe a little bit of politics, why I left the cancel culture, all this woke culture, which I was a part of originally? Or do you want me to talk about my life here and what I like about my life that I'm living right now? So let me know in the next minute or so, because I am losing my voice. My voice, unfortunately, is very weak. Always has been, and probably always will be. So, all right. So I don't see anything in particular now. So thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it. This is fun. I'm doing this because I really like it. I know we don't have that many viewers, at least during the live stream, but I really enjoy this. Okay, so what's wrong with American women dating? Okay, all right, I will, and you guys can ask those questions, and I talk about it in next week. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. This is fun. My brain is now is kind of drifting away. I still have a little bit of my Thai homework to do, and a couple of things to do, and I think I need to post a short video. So a few more things that I gotta, and I gotta go to bed. Paul says, I'll address this one before I go. Paul says, wish you were not so biased against Tesla. That is my big issue with you, but enjoy the banter. Here's the thing. I wish the same thing. I wish I would not be so, well, you said bias. I'm not biased. Bias meaning like if I had a Tesla, a stock of a BYD stock, for example, or something like that, or I had some ulterior motive. So I'm not biased against them. I'm just negative on Tesla. A lot of stuff that Tesla has done, I absolutely hate. I wish I wasn't. I wish, just like 10 years ago, when I was a huge fan, before all this other people jump on the bandwagon, I was one of the original fans. I wish Tesla was still as great. Elon Musk would be as amazing. But the reality is they are not. And again, you feel free to argue with me on where I'm going wrong with criticizing Tesla. Like, you would do me a huge favor if you would convince me that I'm wrong and I should really be reporting positively about Tesla, because my channel will blow up, right? So we're on the same page, Paul. I welcome the discussion, so you tell me. But bias is a wrong word to use. Like I said, I don't have any financial interest or personal anything, agendas or anything like that. So let's get on the same page. All right, guys. Nighttime here. Thanks for hanging out. Have an awesome the rest of your day. I know most of you are watching. You're just kind of starting your day, so have a good lunch or whatever you're guys doing. And I will see you guys next time. And of course, remember to stay charged.